What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. Hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight, man. Hope you guys are doing fantastic as always. Hope you guys have had a great Tuesday. A little bit of a tough stream tonight. You know, it was a little bit of a tough stream last night as well. I just want to go into tonight's stream the same way we went into last night's stream. You know, this is a tough situation. This is a very serious situation. This is a situation that holds a lot of weight and a lot of emotion, right? First of all, you know, we're still thinking of Damar Hamlin as a human being, right? We're thinking of his family, his loved ones. We're not thinking of fantasy football or NFL implications or the playoffs. We're thinking about Damar Hamlin, right? Obviously, last night was probably one of the worst things we've all ever seen take place, and not just a football game, but a sporting event, you know. And like all day, you know, I've just been checking my phone, looking for updates, and there really hasn't been too many updates today, you know. So this is a tough situation, and prayers are up, man. That's all we can say right now is keep hoping for the best and remaining as positive as we possibly can in this situation, you know. And there's nothing more important right now than Damar Hamlin's life and, you know, his family, his loved ones, the people around him, the Buffalo Bills organization, and the Bills players and what they went through last night, as well as the Bengals players, what they went through, the coaching staff. This is a really traumatic situation, and a situation that I don't take lightly whatsoever, you know. So I just want to start this stream and make sure that's very, very clear. But, you know, I am a content creator, and I have a schedule that I follow, and it was just like last night when I told you guys, like, all day I plan to stream tonight, and tonight I plan to stream as well, because that's just following my schedule, you know. We're still releasing Week 18 fantasy content for those of you who play through Week 18, because that was our plan for the week, you know. But I do feel like we have a couple things to talk about, right, from a fantasy perspective. But I just want to make it very clear that there are far bigger things at play than fantasy football at the end of the day, right? Before we get into that, I do want to say that I have it pinned in the chat. I have Damar Hamlin's Chasing M Foundation Community Toy Drive GoFundMe page. If you guys are able to, make a $1 donation, make a $5 donation. It's really incredible. Like last night after the game, you know, the drive was at like $1.4 million. It's almost a $6 million. But I did make a donation on behalf of the Catch fam, on behalf of the Catch Fantasy Football. So don't have a whole lot to give at the moment, but made a $50 donation. And if you guys can't donate, you know, that's with love. That's from us as a community. So put that on there. That's pretty cool, man. But yeah, it's just a tough situation, and it's a lot bigger than fantasy football, and it's a lot bigger than what's going to happen with, you know, the schedule for the NFL the next 2 weeks and everything. But I do want to say that I think it's natural to have some feelings about this as fantasy football managers, as fantasy football participants and players, and as fans of the NFL as well. I think it's, you know, it's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person if right now you're maybe a little bit confused, or maybe you're even a little bit frustrated, or you know, even sad about like what's going to happen with fantasy football, because there hasn't been a really clear update throughout fantasy apps until like late tonight, depending on what app you play through. And so what I want to be able to do is help you guys kind of navigate that. You know, if you're a commissioner in your league, if you're not a commissioner in the league, if you're in the championship, if you play through week 18, if you're in the semifinals, you know, I want to be able to help you guys kind of navigate that, and what might come for your league or what might not come, because there's a lot of stuff up in the air from a fantasy football perspective. And at the end of the day, we are a fantasy football channel. And I know that a lot of you guys out there are kind of in limbo right now, kind of feeling lost. Like, is fantasy over? What's going to happen with my fantasy season? You know, so Sleeper was the first app to come out and kind of give an update. I don't have any leagues through ESPN, but I'm pretty sure they've given an update from what I've heard as well. And then Yahoo's given an update, and Yahoo's update is like, it is really long and convoluted. But the point I was trying to make is that, you know, it doesn't make you a bad person if you've invested a lot in the fantasy football or DFS or best ball, you know, and I'm not saying investing like money wise, but just in general, and you're feeling kind of confused right now, and you're kind of feeling like you're in limbo about like what's going to happen. So that's okay. I really think that doesn't make you a bad person. And I think when you look out there, a lot of people are staying away from kind of talking about this. You know, I listened to Smitty on the Fantasy Football Show earlier, and he made a lot of really good points about this and really kind of put everything together really well. So shout out to Smitty, you know. But I just want to be able to help you guys, right? Because like I said, I just feel like people are more than likely feeling really lost on like what in the world's going to happen right now. I'm feeling relatively lost as well, because like that's the other main reason that I got on tonight, right? Is because I manage 5 leagues for this channel, right? We have a 4-league tournament with like 50 of us, you know, 48 of us, including myself and Steven. Then we have a Catch Fam auction league that is a money league, you know, and you know, that was a matchup where one of you guys was down 30 points and had Jamar Chase last night. So like I have gone through all the catch leagues, and outside of like one league matchup, like last night was pretty impactful. So I have a lot of decisions I have to make too. And I will say, no matter what Yahoo's put out there or Sleeper's put out there or ESPN's put out there, if I'm not mistaken, they've all given like the commissioner can do whatever they want at the end of the day. So if you're the commissioner of a league, or if you're in a league and you're playing for the championship last night, then you know there's you know, at the end of the day, you can come to terms with your commissioner. But I do think, truthfully, like I said last night, as well as tonight, I think the best thing we could do is just kind of stay patient and see what happens. I have heard murmurs. You know, I've been checking everything today. Reddit, Discords, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it may be, YouTube, you know, whatever it may be. I've been checking everything, just trying to get any type of updates, not just on DeMar Hamlin and his health and people around him and all of that, but any updates on fantasy as well. And I don't know, man. It's just I've heard, and I guess not just fantasy, but the NFL in general, right? And I have heard some rumors that this game might be played Wednesday or Thursday, but it doesn't. I don't think that's going to happen personally, and I do think there's a strong chance that this game is not played. I really do believe that there's a strong chance that this game either ends nullified and neither team get a win or loss from this. I don't exactly know how the implications from that work. I do believe that there's a scenario that this game ends as a forfeit. I don't know which team would get the loss. I have a feeling that the Bengals might step up, but I don't know if they can just accept the loss. Like, I don't know if it's a forfeit, if the game ends 7-3 with the Bengals up. But either way, I think what we have to kind of look at here is that this was a really traumatic game. It's a really tender situation, and if you try to replay this game, I think that there's a lot of emotions at bay for both sides. The players, obviously, but the coaching staffs and just everyone involved, really. I just don't know if both these teams, especially the Bills, are going to want to revisit this. You know, I really, really think with all the implications of, you know, I mean, that's really the difficult thing is there's so much at stake, the AFC playoff picture for this game. So that's why I think we haven't gotten an announcement, because, you know, if it's early in the season, then obviously they can come out and announce, like, well, we're going to reschedule this game for whatever date, right? And then we just deal with it. But, like, it's just at such a crucial moment in terms of playoffs, and, like, you know, there's so many different scenarios that could happen where, like, you know, the Chiefs have such an easy route to the number one seed. It's just a lot to kind of dissect. And I think at the end of the day, I really am of the belief that the Bengals and Bills aren't going to play this game, which is totally acceptable, you know. I don't know how many of you guys have been in, like, a traumatic situation, or a situation, like, close to death, or a situation where you encounter death, but, like, it's not something that you want to, like, re-dissect, you know. And I think, you know, like, a lot of people have been echoing today, like, this is a bigger situation, of course, than just a football game, than fantasy football, than sports betting, than playoff implications. And I think what we have to understand is that, like, a lot of these players are going to have some scars from this. And I really just don't feel like they're going to want to open up those wounds and try and play this game again. And I don't blame them whatsoever. But there is a world where this game gets played again. There's a lot of different scenarios out there that I've read. There's a lot to dissect on this. So let's kind of start with the Catch Fam leagues. And then if you guys have questions about your personal leagues, go ahead and we'll talk about them. I want to be able, you know, my main thing was, like, I need to give you guys an update on the Catch Fam leagues. I wanted you guys to be able to come out, and if you guys have questions, if you feel like you're kind of left in limbo at the moment, you guys could come out and, you know, talk with me and the rest of the community. And most importantly, I wanted the community to be able to come out tonight and get together and just talk, you know, and if anything on your mind or whatever, we can talk about it as well. But yeah, I don't know, kind of a tough stream tonight, a tough stream to run, and I just want to reemphasize, like, thoughts and prayers with Damar Hamlin and his family and his loved ones, and we're praying for him and wishing him a speedy recovery. And there's really nothing else you can say, but I just want to make sure that people understand that I'm here for good intentions. And also, if you're being like crappy in the chat, I'm just gonna like remove you. But I know none of you guys are gonna do that, but I'm just putting that out there. Like, but I know none of you guys are gonna do that. But let's take a look at Sleeper, right? So I'm gonna need a sip of water before I start reading all these. All right. Given these unprecedented circumstances, we will be scoring Week 17 as is. If the NFL resumes the game at a later time, there will be an option in Commissioner tools to rerun Week 17 results. This is an option, not the default. If your league ends in Week 17, this will crown your champion, then give your league the option to renew/transition the league to 2027. This is what will happen by default. However, your commissioners have the ultimate say in how they want to handle this within each league. Even when your league enters a final state, the commissioner can manually modify the scores of a matchup and then hit the recalculate button to force those through. As mentioned, this is something we haven't seen before, so we're really encouraging your league mates to come together and handle this internally. So I think what is going to happen for the Catch Fam leagues is that, going into tomorrow, things are probably going to end as is right now. And then we're just going to wait and we're going to see if this game is replayed. If the game is replayed, then I do want to adjust, the scores accordingly, right? If the game's not replayed, then it is what it is. It is what it is, guys. Like the title of the stream says, this is bigger than fantasy football. It just is what it is, man. And once again, I think like it's okay to feel a little upset that this is how the fantasy season ended, but you just have to remember, like, it's just fantasy football, man. Like, I say it all the time. Like, when I get off on Sundays, like, don't forget to not let fantasy football get in the way. To sit back and enjoy football and have a good day, And I get that, everyone who's part of this community is super dedicated. You guys invest a lot of time and emotion, and you guys care a lot about fantasy football, and I do too. We just have to remember, like, it's just fantasy at the end of the day, But it's tough, guys. I know that this is not something that anyone saw coming, right? Obviously, or anyone anticipated, and that's tough. But that's how life is sometimes, man. So it's a really tough situation, But what you have to think about is the fact that you're gonna be able to wake up tomorrow and live a normal life and play fantasy football next year, And Damar Hamlin's life is probably affected forever, unfortunately, And I think that's the best way I can put that into perspective for you guys. So it's a little bit difficult for the Catch Fam tournament because, we were doing a running highest score, right? The 4 number 1 teams got a prize. The highest scoring number 1 team got the ultimate prize. So we kind of have a unique winner situation where, even if you won like by a landslide before last night's game, but you were competing with another number 1 team for the most points, and you had Joe Mixon to play last night, well, that could affect if you get the grand prize for the league this year. So it's like, what we're going to do is we're just going to end it going into tomorrow like Sleeper has, and if this game is rescheduled, then we'll just be patient and we'll reapply those points accordingly, right? But it's just tough. And Yahoo, like, so my other league, I have 5 leagues. Well, I have 5 leagues I commission in Sleeper, 2 that I'm playing in, a third one that I'm playing in. Then I have a league through Yahoo that I've always played in with one of my old bosses, and I'm not even gonna read theirs. It's so long. It's a little bit confusing what they're deciding to do, and I will say this is might feel a little bit more difficult if your fantasy championship, concluded last night in theory. But who this is really difficult for is the small percentage of people who play through week 18. Because, and like this league that I'm in is for the first time ever, shout out to George. George, I don't know why we're playing through week 18. Never played through the last week before, but this is the first year, and it's like, I don't know what we're going to do. And I talked to him, that's the commissioner of the league, and we've talked a little bit today, and he's like, I don't know. It's a tough situation to be in for a lot of reasons. So, yeah. So I think I touched on everything I wanted to touch on. I'm trying to really navigate this kind of delicately, because I know it's a situation that is definitely emotional for a lot of people, and I think that it's okay to talk about things that are touchy. I think that it's difficult, but sometimes people have to step up and be willing to say, hey, I'm going to open up the floor and let's talk about this, So there's definitely some pressure, I feel like, in the position I'm in. But I wanted to be able to open up that floor and, like I said, give you guys an opportunity to come out and ask your questions about your respective fantasy leagues and what you guys need to do, or what you guys or what's going to happen for you guys, right? And just give you guys that outlet as a content creator, as a community, for you guys to come out and talk about things. So, yeah. And prayers up, man. That's all you can say. So, Catch fam, we made a donation. I feel good about it, man. So, let's go. And I saw someone in the chat saying, why would we donate to me? And it's just my opinion. People that's donating to Toy Drive is phony. Why wait till a person gets hurt to donate to his Toy Drive? Donate to his Toy Drive when he's up and well. Yeah, I think that's an interesting perspective as well, because sometimes when there's a situation like this, it is really easy to say, like, well, nobody cared about him until he was in this condition, or until he was hurt, or nobody cared about that person until they passed away, And I can understand that perspective, I think, because I've been through some things in my life where I've kind of felt that way, right? So I can get where you're coming from. But I think that, as some other people alluded to in the chat, like, it's... this is the way that collectively people, across the NFL and as fans and as fantasy football players and whatever it may be, are finding a way to just do something while we're all kind of in limbo, waiting to see what happens with DeMar Hamlin's health, So I can somewhat understand where you're coming from there, but I just think it's kind of, you're put in a situation where you feel like there's nothing you can do, and this is one thing that people are doing because we don't know what to do, So, I'm here to respect everyone's opinions and thoughts on the situation and kind of talk about things. So, you know, if you guys have an opinion, we can definitely talk about it. I'm not going to shoot it down, but of course, try to be sensitive in the chat and everything. So, and I don't think that was an insensitive way of putting it in everything. So that's fine. All right. I'm not going to start at the top of the chat. I'm going to kind of start from the bottom because I know a lot of you guys have already been running through. So I appreciate you guys coming out tonight and hanging out and talking for a little bit. And, you know, not the circumstances that we want to be coming together under. And it could be a lot worse, you know. At least we get to come on and be part of a live stream tonight, you know. So, all right, I'm going to start kind of towards the bottom here. Godfather, I'm in a league where it's a 2-week-long matchup, and I have Diggs and Allen. Really could care less about the W at this point, honestly. Yeah, and I do feel like for me, like in the league I'm playing in, that's going through week 18. Like my team's been really, really, really good all season. And I have a strong chance of winning the championship. But I'd like straight up told our commissioner, like, I do not care what you decide. Whatever we do is fine with me, you know. It's just fantasy. I don't care. I really just I don't care. And I think honestly, you know, and I get like some leagues play for a lot of money. Some leagues have like a $1,000 buy-in. Some leagues there's a lot at stake, you know. And so I get that for everyone it's not as easy to just be like, I don't care, we'll do whatever, you know. But I do wish that either A, more people could just have that attitude, or B, people could come to, you know, some sort of compromise, right? Like, if I was in a league that, well, I am in a league, but if I was in a championship where money was at stake and, you know, I was winning and I had like one, you know, if you're up 50 points and you have Josh Allen against you, no one else, right? I would be willing to say, like, I'll split the money. I don't care. You know, but a lot of leagues pay out a second place team too. So you'd have to take second place's payout, first place's payout, combine it, and then like split it. You know, like I think that a lot of leagues out there are going to end up doing something along those lines, because that's like kind of one of the underlining aspects of fantasy football is that it's like a commodity. I can never say that word. Someone used a different word. And, you know, it's almost like a brotherhood. Like it's a thing that you play with a lot of the same people over an extended amount of years, and you're close with the majority of people in your league. And I do feel like a lot of leagues are going to be able to compromise. But I have seen, like, I've been looking at a lot of different circumstances, especially on like Reddit, where like people are coming out and saying like, I'm down 0.6 and I have Joe Mixon and Joe Burrow, and I just needed 0.6 more points, and my commissioner is saying it's over and I lost championship. It's a tough thing, you know, because people get upset about fantasy football for a lot of different reasons. A lot of people have money on the line. B, there's some ego and pride, maybe a little bit more than some ego and pride that goes into fantasy football. Like I said, you're playing with a lot of your buddies, a lot of people who are probably like brothers to you, sisters to you, very close friends. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's a lot of shit talking when it comes to fantasy football. Let's be real. You know, there's a lot of pride and ego, and I think that's going to come up in some circumstances. And on top of that, some people just like winning, which probably goes back to ego and pride. But just being realistic, like, you know. But I think you just have to look at this situation and be like, this is just the way that the 2022 fantasy football season ended, and it's okay. It's going to be okay. Oz, do a Madden sim, start your quarterback, use their coach and offensive line, trade your other players to the team, and sim, add only starters. That would actually be an amazing way to decide a fantasy championship, for sure. Derek's in the chat. J-Dub's in the chat saying prayers up. What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? Emil, Albert, hello. How you guys doing? Alex, what's going on, man? Hope the Raiders keep Carr. I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. Yeah, and any NFL talk you guys have? Any next season fantasy talk you guys have? Whatever it may be, get it in the chat. I mean, we don't, have to necessarily talk about what's going to happen with my fantasy league, what's going to happen with the Bills and Bengals, and we don't necessarily have to stay 100% on topic here. If you guys want to get your mind off this, because this is, really the only thing that's going on in a lot of people's news feeds. And I'm not saying that, you just want to ignore it or anything, or you don't care about it, but it is okay when there's a heavy situation to connect with people and kind of clear your mind a little bit. That's an okay, healthy thing to do. Simon for President, what's up, bro? Yeah, man, I'm glad you guys are here tonight. I'm happy to be on. Prayers for Hamlin for sure. J-Dub's waiting for the results. Given the circumstances, I'm open to splitting the winnings 50-50 with Prodigy in the auction league. It's only fair given the trajectory of the scoring in the game. Yeah, that was one I looked at, and I'm like, man, Jamar Chase can score 29 points. I literally talked to my wife about this while we ate dinner. Like, the championship in the auction league. I'm like, you know what, it's way easier with the Catch Fam tournament, right? Because there's no money involved. I'm personally buying every prize for that league. So, like, whatever I decide, it's just going to be what happens, And if people are upset, you don't have to play next year. But the nice thing is, even though there's 48 of us combined, including me and Steven, I know all 46 of you guys are going to be okay with what I decide, because you guys are all really, really good, genuine people, and that's why I love this community and I love you guys, man. But I was looking at the freaking Auction Fam matchup, and I'm like, this is a tough one, because I'm gonna have to, and like, I know that you and Prodigy are gonna be able to decide on something, but yeah, if this game is not played and this is the final outcome, like, listen, Jamar Chase scoring 29 fantasy points, which that would have been enough. He would have had to score 30. Like, it's not the crazy, like, I mean, it's Jamar Chase, so I'll get together with you guys, and like I said, I know you guys will figure it out. So, and whatever we decide, we'll be fine. So, I was curious as to what Underdog would do for best ball content, but it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, so I've been checking Underdog as well. I'm part of the Underdog Discord page, which is like pretty active with updates, and I haven't seen anything. I haven't checked it in like the last 2 or 3 hours maybe, but I haven't seen any updates there. So, yeah, if you guys want to check, maybe on Twitter is probably where they put their first statement. But I haven't seen anything. I'll check real quick. Forgot I can pull it up on my computer. So, okay, let's see. Yeah, like they don't have anything that I see. So, yeah, I don't see anything on there. But if I do hear something, I'll definitely let you guys know. Camaraderie. Did you guys know I was in speech till 7th grade? Fujakin, what's up? Split, win, concede comes down to common sense. Yeah, and that's like the biggest thing, man, is like it should be pretty straightforward, right? It should be able just to be like a common sense decision. And I do feel like with a lot of people, unfortunately, like when it comes down to something like this, like fantasy can kind of override people's common sense. Like that's the tough part about being a commissioner, is like you're literally just trying to do like the most straightforward, most fair possible thing, right? And then people are like, no, I deserve to win. It's like, I don't disagree with you, man. All right, Godfather. In a league, I'm commissioner. Championship game, one team losing by 22 points has Burrow and Higgins, but he wants the game to happen because he wants to win, or he wants us to average the points projected because he wins. Yeah, so I've seen a lot of people talking about that as well. Like, if this game doesn't get played, I deserve the average points. So let's say Joe Burrow's, it's different projections across different platforms, but let's say Joe Burrow's, he's down 22 points. Joe Burrow's probably projected 18 points at least. T. Higgins probably projected 10 to 12 points depending on scoring format and what platform it's played through. So, like, but projections are, like, never right, whether it's over or under, So it's like, it's a tough call. We've seen games where T. Higgins has started the game and then not played the game and gotten you, like, 0 points. We've seen games where Burrow's had a dud, although Burrow came out last night looking really sharp. So I think that's a tough one. I think that's tough. And, like, that's a situation where the commissioner is just put in a really tough position, Because, like, I will say this, like, for me, it's like, if this game is not played, then it's over. Like, that I'm just ending it. I'm not, like, because you're going to have way too many disagreements, For me, I'm just going to default to whatever the app is doing. So Sleeper is ending on, week 17 based on what's been played, and this game is not rescheduled to play, then the season's fantasy's over. It is what it is, I'm not going to go off projections personally, but I do know that other commissioners are considering that. So, don't get me wrong, a lot of people are thinking about that right now. J-Dubs, another option is the players could score their predicted average, maybe. Yeah, exactly. Curious for Rookie Dynasty Startup. New as well. It's coming, J-Dubs, it's coming. Yeah, this is like it's just a weird time for the fantasy community. Like, I felt a little off, like, publishing week 18 content, It's just, I got a lot of content planned for the next week outside of week 18 content. Like, I wanted to start really rapidly putting out 2023 early rankings because I know other channels are going to do it. I want to get a leg up. That's what you do as a channel that's trying to come up, and, like, I don't know. It just feels... It just doesn't feel like this season has really concluded. It's just tough, man. It's tough. And I know a lot of, like, the fantasy community, a lot of content creators have kind of just froze right now, which is okay. I totally respect that. But I'd like to be able to help anyone who's playing in week 18 and just continue to, like I mentioned earlier, be an outlet for you guys, of course, as a community, but on top of that, be able to provide something that can maybe take your guys' minds off anything negative as well. Elliot, what's good, bro? What up? Cinnabon, what's up, man? Good to have you guys. I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. Let's see. Smokey open for a Steelers miracle. I mean, it could happen. For you, Smokey, I hope it happens, Cinnabon Dynasty is quietly in the works. Yeah, that's kind of the fun thing, Cinnabon, is I don't think anyone who's in it is going to know anything about Dynasty. It's kind of the point. Brian, what's up, man? What do you think is going to happen? I think they're going to cancel the game. Yeah, so I personally don't think this game is going to be played. I really don't. You know, I kind of went into it earlier in the stream. I just am not of the belief that this game's going to be played. I think it's either going to be nullified or ruled a forfeit, or I just don't see it happening. You know, I don't see the Bills and Bengals wanting to revisit um, what took place, and I just think it's the timing. Just listen. I've read on a lot of different ways they could do this. They could make a week 19. Push back everything and take away the bye week before the Super Bowl. You know, they could try to play this game. They'd have to play it Wednesday or Thursday, you know, and then the another big problem is they can't push back the Bills Broncos Week 18 games to Monday because the college football championships on Monday night. So there's no way in hell that who has that, ESPN? There's no way they're going to let NFL games be on that night. You know? But what? Sunday to Thursday is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's only 4 days. So Thursday to Sunday is Thursday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, 3 days is not enough. You know, if they could do it Monday night, I mean, I guess there's a chance they could push back. Because in Week 18, let's take a look. Week 18, the Ravens and Bengals play, which is a big game. Playoff seeding implications. And then the Bills play. Don't they play the Patriots, which is another big game for playoff seeding indications. So maybe they could try to play both those games Tuesday if this game gets played tomorrow or Thursday. But I just don't know, man. Don't know. It's tough. Thomas, what's up, bro? Prayers up for Hamlin for sure. Kool-Aid Flex Lines versus Packers Sunday Night Football. Let's go Hawks. After the review, what's up, man? I was really happy to see, you know, I know it wasn't the way you wanted it to happen, right? But I was really happy to see your stream, like, super, super active last night, like, for a long period of time. Fantasy Football Hustler, his stream was, like, going crazy last night, too. So, like I said, not under the circumstances that we want, but I was happy to see some of you guys out there being able to provide that outlet as a, you know, for your guys' community, for people to come out and talk and get updates about what was happening, you know. So, no way Bengals and Bills play that game. I find it hard for Bills to want or even be anywhere near focused to play their game this upcoming weekend. Yeah, I agree. Cinnabon, how do you start a Dynasty League? Do you do a normal draft, and near the beginning of the season you do a rookie draft? That's a good question. So it would be called yeah. Is that how you do it? Does anyone know? That sounds right. What is it called? Like a Dynasty Rookie Startup Draft? Yeah, I guess you want the two separate. That's a good question. We'll keep discussing that one. Smokey, you think it comes down to both teams involved as to whether it gets played or not, or is it the NFL's call? I think the NFL is treading very lightly with this situation, as much as they have at stake in their own personal interests, aka money. I think they're treading very lightly right now for a lot of reasons. But ultimately, yes, it is the NFL's call. But there's no way they have not been in consistent communication with the Bills and the Bengals. You know, there's just no way. So yeah. After the review, they're also extremely likely to meet up in the second round of the playoffs. Yeah, that is an interesting dynamic as well. from a practical and financial standpoint, they can't do it unless they push back the playoffs. Yeah, that's the other thing. You can't push back the Super Bowl. You know, those tickets are sold way in advance. People take off work way in advance. People book hotels way in advance. I mean, and don't get me wrong, like all that stuff, you know, it's superficial, but like, you know, there are plenty, numerous, hardworking, everyday people who bought Super Bowl tickets this year and put a lot into planning to go to the Super Bowl, you know. So it's a tough call, man. After the view, super weird to have the best night on my channel ever. You know, I think it's okay to like admit that it was like the best night on your channel ever, you know. I think what happened was really interesting to watch because like I was sitting here editing, I was kind of in your stream, I was kind of in Fantasy Hustler stream, kind of chatting with you guys. And I think it was just really interesting to see what happened because, you know, a lot of people were watching the broadcast and, you know, there was only so much they could really say on the broadcast and so much they could really talk about. And it was just one of those, it was a really just interesting moment in sports where people were simultaneously flocking to the internet to try and figure out like what is happening with Damar Hamlin. You know, what are any updates we can get on his health? What's happening with this game? What's gonna happen with this game in the future? And what's happening with fantasy football? You know, like you had multiple dynamics and you couldn't get any of that information from the game's broadcast. So you just had people flocking to Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Reddit, whatever. And, you know, I think it's definitely circumstances that nobody wanted, you know. But it, nonetheless, was really interesting to watch unfold, you know. I mean, what we've kind of gone through in the last 24 hours or so is, like, arguably the biggest story in sports this whole year and easily the biggest story in the NFL. And I say that with all due respect to Damar Hamlin and his family and his loved ones, but there is a side of me that has a lot of like interest in social behavior and like the way people gravitate to social media and you know platforms like YouTube and things. So yeah, I know it was weird for you a little bit, I'm sure, but also I think it's okay to you know, and I know you're not saying that it's not okay, but I'm just talking out loud here. It's like it's okay to just be like, I'm a YouTuber who does live play-by-play streams, and I was streaming, you know, the Monday night of the Bills-Bengals game, and you know, just kind of naturally, that's what happened, man. So, yeah. All right, let's see. You get pre-sorted for draft picks. So J-Dub says basically, I say the team that gets pick 12 in the normal draft gets first pick in the rookie draft, but I'm not sure. Okay. Yeah, we'll have to... Godfather, you have a draft year 0 with all players available, then the teams roll over year to year. The next year's draft is incoming rookies in the league. Right. Also makes draft order easy because you treat it like the NFL draft. You go worst record to the best, and also how far a team went into the playoffs. Interesting. I'm excited for the Dynasty League, man. I really, really am. I'm going to be awful. I feel like it's really tough to recover from a... if you start off poorly with Dynasty, I feel like it's really tough to recover. Casey, what's up, man? As a fan yesterday, my entire body hurt for what happened to Damar. For sure, bro. For sure. Appreciate you stopping by, Casey. It's a tough night for sure. Bobby, that game was about to be great. You know, uh, and I think as a fan, like, that's okay to say too. You know, like, it did look like it was going to be a good game. I mean, Burrow and company marched right down the field and slung it to Tyler Boyd, and Josh Allen and company drove right down the field and ended with a field goal. You know, and I think it's okay from a fan perspective to think this was going to be a really good game, but we got the outcome that we got, and unfortunately, at the end of the day, it's like the game itself just doesn't matter. You know, but yeah. I was excited to watch the game last night, as I think most fans were. But it just is what it is, you know. So, I mean, I think we all expected it to be a really good game between two of the best quarterbacks in the league and two of the best teams in the league. Huge playoff implications on the line. Tons of superstars in the game. But it's like you just end up removing all that and just understanding that it's just a game, man. You know. Completely okay and natural to have that thought for sure, Bobby. Who's on the free agent bubble in the offseason? Oh, God. Let me pull it up in a second. Jay does. After the view, it's one of those moments the internet was kind of made for sure. For sure. Miracle, yeah, last night, DeMar Hamlin of the Bills, safety, tackled T. Higgins, and just stood up and collapsed, and no one really knew what happened for quite some time, and but it did come out that he had cardiac arrest. He's been in the hospital since, had CPR on the field. Just a really tough situation to watch unfold, but he's been in critical condition, and yeah, his heart stopped twice. It's just a tough situation to watch unfold as a football fan, you know. But still in the hospital, and we're just still kind of sitting by, waiting for updates. You know, that all you can really do in a situation like this is be patient and be empathetic and be delicate and thoughtful, you know. J-Dubs, trades are keys. Trades are keys. Trades are key. I feel like I'm going to suck no matter what, bro. Godfather, Dynasty League is like any other league. You just draft a team you want to have forever. Hence why my number one guy is Trevor Lawrence. First year of the draft is super fun, seeing how people rank players. And not only their yearly value, but future values. Some play year by year, and some play to build a team to contend with, having lots of young rooks. See, I do like that dynamic, because, like, if I just really like a player coming out of college, like, I can just try to draft them. And they don't even have to, like, be that good of a prospect. But if I like rooting for them, they're on my team. And if they end up being good, then that's good for my team. That makes sense? J-Dubs, I've been offered to join Dynasty Leagues, but the abandoned teams are so bad I never commit. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Is like I have to be really kind of careful with how I start this league. Some of you guys I've played with for 2 years. Some of you guys I've played with for just this previous season. I don't think there's anyone that I'm really like who's currently in any of the catch leagues that I don't trust. But last year when we did the Catch Fam League, the first year of the channel, we had some hiccups. You know, this year going into the season, we had one minor hiccup. You know, and I just have to be kind of careful how I navigate it, because it is a long-term thing. But I do feel like with the community that we have, A, like I really trust all you guys, but B, like if anyone were to ever quit, it wouldn't be too difficult to find someone to replace their team. But I guess you never know. Like if, like you're saying, if the team is bad enough, then It'd be hard to get someone to fill it. But at the end of the day, I could just, I mean, I guess it's not really fair, but I can manage multiple teams if I have to, I guess. I don't know. Simon for President John, are you starting a Dynasty for the Catch League? I'm interested in getting into Dynasty, never played before. Yeah. I am in the off season. I haven't, like, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I like that we're talking about it and getting my my brain going a little bit here. But at the end of the day, my mind has not even begun to shift to the Dynasty League. You know, and it's been like, I don't know. It's just been, like, it's been hard, once again, trying to say this delicately, it's been hard to kind of, like, mentally wrap up the season with what happened last night, which is completely okay. It's just fantasy football. But also, like, I just had, like, a really set in stone, like, schedule and, like, interpretation of how this week was going to go and how next week was going to go and how the couple weeks leading into the playoffs would go and how the conclusion of the NFL season with the Super Bowl would go in terms of my content creation, and for me to kind of get ready for everything in the off-season schedule. And I do feel like I've had a little bit of a mental block, like, today. But that's okay. It's completely okay. But yeah, I haven't shifted gears because that's a big part of the off-season schedule is the weekly Dynasty podcast that I'm going to run. I haven't even, like, talked to Steven because, of course, Steven has to be invited, you know, and I think Steven would be really into it. One thing Steven did this past off-season was he did some content about, you know, college prospects, and he pays a little bit more attention to college football than I do, although I'm going to have to start paying more attention to it. But he did some, like, NFL draft mock drafts, not fantasy football mock drafts, but actual NFL mock drafts, and put together some content around college stuff in this past off season, you know. So yeah, I haven't even had time to talk to Steven about it, you know. But I am really excited for the off season. I think we're gonna have a really successful off season as a channel. When you look at a lot of community or a lot of channels in the fantasy community, you know, it's really natural. All of our numbers are going to dip dramatically. Our numbers have already dipped dramatically now that week 17 is over, you know. But it gets, you know, like, a lot of channels just don't do anything in the off season, or they might do, like, unless they do Dynasty content, of course, you know. If you do Dynasty content and regular fantasy content year round, your channel's it never stops, right? But, like, my main thing is I've never played Dynasty before, so I can't just do, like, Dynasty rankings or give Dynasty advice because I'm going to look like an idiot, which is why the weekly podcast leading into the Catch Fam Dynasty League is going to be called I Suck at Dynasty. And no matter what, it's just always going to be called that because it's funny. So, anyways, yeah. Even though Bills versus Bengals game decided my fantasy game, I could care less because a man's life was in danger. Absolutely, Casey. Absolutely, man. 100%. J-Dubs, I'd rather start from zero and own up to if I screw up in Dynasty, right? We need a name for the Dynasty Fantasy Football League, especially for the vids following results, since the majority of us are new. We suck at Dynasty, you know? Nick, what's up, man? Yeah, 100%. Prayers up, man. Prayers up for sure. Leverage Steven a bit to get your feet under you. There you go. GR, for some reason, ESPN has locked their fantasy page. I'm supposed to have second round of championship week 18. Can't make any waiver claims because it's locked. Do you know why? So the one league or one platform I don't play on is ESPN. They're probably just waiting to see if they get an announcement from the NFL tomorrow. There is some belief that we're going to get an announcement tomorrow. So they may have just locked everything, you know, if you play through week 18, so that you know, just until they have an update so that nothing goes through, I guess. I'm trying to check their website. You know, you would think they would have like something on their homepage, but all I'm getting is Jared Stidham, Isaiah Hodgins among top waiver wire options week 18. So I don't know. ESPN always runs their scoring based on what the NFL says, so I imagine they're sitting on their hands waiting to decide anything until the NFL makes the final decision. Yeah, it would not surprise me if they just are waiting, so they've locked everything for now. It would not surprise me. All right. By the way, guys, we talked after the review's been in the chat tonight and is usually in the chat with us, but there's a link to his channel, guys. If you're not already subscribed to his channel, go drop him a sub. He's been grinding really hard and kind of been part of our community, you know, since we were a small channel, so to speak, smaller than we are now, and has always supported us. I don't remember, Pete, if I found one of your shorts or you found one of mine and commented on it. But either way, we commented on one of each other's shorts, because there was a point where I was making a lot of shorts last off season, and I was watching a lot of shorts. And Pete is like the only guy to come through and consistently support us. So I always appreciate that, man. And obviously Pete mainly does shorts on his channel, but he does some nice, fun play-by-play live streams and some really good uploads as well. And definitely a good dude and someone worth supporting, who's kind of trying to hit that goal of 1,000 subs and is getting really close. So go check him out. Go drop him a sub. Help him out a bit. You know, when I was like a smaller channel, because if you guys are unaware, like hitting 1,000 subscribers is one of the requirements to get monetized on YouTube. You have to have 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subs in the same year, and it's really, really difficult to get 1,000 subs. It's difficult to get 4,000 watch hours, don't get me wrong, but it's difficult. For us, at least, it was more difficult to get 1,000 subscribers, and once you hit that, it like really, really takes off a little bit. And one thing I always was really wishing for was I wish I could find some more support on YouTube from channels maybe bigger than me. So one thing I always try to be really mindful of is if there's a channel smaller than me that is supporting me in any way, to kind of shout them out and help them out a bit. So anyways, yeah. Shout out to After the Review. That's the homie right there. Go drop him a sub. I was surprised how massive the gross was after you hit 1,000. I was too, but I really have followed a really, really, really specific strategy and had a really, really specific mindset and dedication. So I was surprised, but I guess not surprised. I don't know. You know, this season was massive. It was huge. It was phenomenal. It was great. But I kind of have a really deep hunger for this, and I'm still not satisfied. I'll just put it that way. But you guys are an amazing, amazing community, and I really appreciate everything you guys have done this year. But I just have a really deep passion for this, and I'm just nowhere near where I want to be with it. So anyways, J-Dub said, we take a look at free agency for 2023. My bad. Wasn't paying attention until now, but Brady and Wilson must have thought it was 2015. All right, so let's take a look. Quarterbacks next year, J-Dubs. You got Brady. You got Baker. You got Darnold, Garoppolo, Bridgewater. Danny Dimes going to get re-signed. Danny Dimes going to get re-signed for sure. Geno Smith, Brissett, Mike White, Andy Dalton, Lamar Jackson. Damn. Lamar Jackson not getting paid shit. I mean, wait, what's his market value? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading that wrong. But yeah, if Taylor Heineke is making more money than Lamar Jackson or Kyle Allen, I mean, doesn't surprise me. But yeah. So yeah, I'm glad we scrolled down and saw Gardner Minshew down there too. Tyler Huntley. I mean, I guess Heineke is really interesting. Yeah, there's your quarterbacks. What's up, Adrian? GR, I was glad I found your channel my first year playing fantasy football. I shared it with the league manager who was advisory. I appreciate that, bro. I'm glad you're part of the community, man. Appreciate you. Lamar is going to drive the offseason. Oh, for sure, bro. Adrian, would you mind helping me pick my final roster line for Week 18? Of course, bro. I'd be happy to, man. Be happy to. When do you think we'll hear if Cincy Buffalo will be replayed? I think tomorrow, Thursday, we'll get an update for sure, man. I just don't know what type of update we're going to get. All right, so running backs are the big topic for free agency, of course, going into next season. So you got Barkley, Hunt, Penny, Jamal Williams, Josh Jacobs, Mark Ingram, Rex Burkhead, Raheem Mostert, Donta Foreman, Mike Boone, Boston Scott, Pirine, Ronald Jones, Miles Sanders, Gio Bernard, Jerick McKinnon, Darrell Williams, Dontrell Hilliard, Matt Breida, Royce Freeman, Latavius Murray, Jeff Wilson, Kenyon Drake, Justin Jackson, Marlon Mack, David Montgomery, Devin Singletary, Damian Harris, JaMychal Hasty, Solomon Ahmed, Alexander Madison, Benny Snell, Tony Pollard, Ty Johnson, Deion Jackson, Ty Johnson, James Robinson. I mean, listen, I know a lot of these names, perspective to guys like Saquon Barkley are nobodies, but Ty Johnson has made an impact this season for the Jets. JaMychal Hasty has gotten snaps this year. There are a lot. This is the biggest headache going into next season for fantasy is how do these teams, how do the running backs being shifted around affect different teams, Pollard to the Bears would be interesting, man. Yeah, G-Man had to re-sign Danny Dimes and Saquon. And Godfather, I've heard that they're going to offer pretty good contracts to both players. So Pollard will get paid for sure. Pollard's going to be a Cowboy. Monty will probably go to a different team. What do you think? I mean, we got two Bears fans in the chat, right? What do you guys think? Etienne will have an even bigger year next year. Both him and the team are on the right. Oh, for sure. For sure. Etienne is one of those players. I think next year's going to be like a late second rounder, but a value player that as the offseason goes on is going to move up on draft boards. Yeah, that's interesting thing with the Eagles, right? J-Dub saying Monty the Eagles is Miles Sanders be a free agent too. McKinnon's obviously had a huge impact at the end of the year. I mean, Barkley's the big name here, but Kareem Hunt's not going to be on the Browns. Penny's going to be released with Walker there. Jamal Williams just doesn't feel right if he's not a Lion, but he probably won't be a Lion. I mean, you've still got good depth on that team, right? Behind Swift, you're going to need Swift. Josh Jacobs is a big question mark. Best season of his career. Does Josh McDaniels want to keep him? Does Tom Brady go to the, Raiders and say Josh Jacobs has to be here? No way Eagles move off Sanders after a season. I would hope not. I really think Miles Sanders is like the perfect running back for that team. Adrian got Burrow, Herbert, Chubb, Akers, Dillon, Walker, Swift, Wilson, Devonta Smith, Cooper, Dotson, Lazard, Cup, Andrews, Evan, Ingram. Interesting. I go Burrow over Herbert. Burrow's going to have more on the line more than likely in Week 18 because they play the Ravens. It's a big game. I go Burrow. You can keep Nick Chubb in. I think the Browns are going to do whatever they can to... well, you know what? I take that back because I think you have better options. Chubb's been playing at a pretty low ceiling. So Burrow, I go Akers and Kenneth Walker. Must-win game for the Hawks, and I think that Akers is just going to have a good game. But you could go Swift. As a matter of fact, I might flex Swift. I would definitely start Devonta Smith. The other receiver's kind of tricky. I might go Lazard, believe it or not. Because the Packers have everything to play for. It's a big thing if you're playing in Week 18. You really want to look at potential game scripts. They play the Lions, a decent matchup. I would probably right now have Burrow, Akers, Walker, Devonta Smith, Lazard, and Swift in with Evan Ingram. I go Ingram over Andrews because the Titans are awful against the tight end position, and the Jags will have everything to play for, literally, as will the Titans. But you could consider Amari Cooper, who played really well last week, over Lazard, because the Browns have basically come out and said they're going to do whatever they can to knock the Steelers out of the playoffs, and the Steelers have a really bad secondary. So I think that's an option as well. Garrett Wilson's kind of interesting as well. He plays the Dolphins. I could see a circumstance there where the Jets really want to keep the Dolphins out of the playoffs because they're division rivals. But I would probably have Burrow, Akers, Walker, Devonta Smith, Lazard, Swift in the flex, and Evan Ingram in. So let me know what you think. Jacob's a tough call. Yeah, I don't think it's a tough call, but I think because of the head coach, the GM, it is a tough call because we don't know what in the world they're going to do. But if you're like any logical person, it's like, let's just re-sign Josh Jacobs, right? He's literally like the epitome of what a Raiders running back should be, you know? If Bears don't keep Monty, need a pass catcher, and Pollard is amazing. Oh, Cowboys can't afford Pollard with Zeke's contract and then probably signing Odell. Yeah, I've heard a lot of different things about what the Cowboys might potentially do. Jets need a running back till Brees is ready. Don't they have Michael Carter's still there, right? So, and Bam Knight should still be there, right? Get Jamal Williams back in the Packers uniform. If you can't afford to keep Aaron Jones next year, I'd stick to have Jamal and Dillon. Yeah, I always loved Jamal Williams with the Packers. And it was weird because I was just like, yeah, he literally it has to be a line. It doesn't feel right any other way. But he was, it's like, I feel like he just has to stay in that division. He could be like a Vikings or Bears running back, But I just really feel like he found his identity with the Lions. But he was great with the Packers. Jamal Williams was a player I used to literally, it was like one of my saviors in fantasy football when he was with the Packers. So, what did the Lions do? Swift can't be a 3-down back. Well, Craig Reynolds has been really a really solid RB3, but I don't know what type of contract he's on. And they still have Justin Jackson, that's right. Justin Jackson has taken over Craig Reynolds' spot. Which is interesting. Because I always really like Craig Reynolds, so I always root for him. So I don't know what they'll do. They could draft a running back, that's a good point. Adrian, my lineup was Burrow, Akers, Walker, Smith, Cooper, Ingram, and Andrews. Definitely will adjust now. Yeah, I personally wouldn't flex the extra tight end and Andrews. I mean, Andrews had a good game last week, obviously, and it's a big game this week against Cincinnati. You know, I'm not completely against it. But I think you get better value out of a guy like Swift. I mean, the Lions have everything to play for. The Ravens are going to the playoffs no matter what. They're kind of fighting for seeding, and it's a little bit up in the air right now with some of these game scripts because we don't really know what's going to happen with last night's game. But, yeah. Either way, man, I think you have a really good lineup. I think you've got a really solid shot here in Week 18, my guy. All right, J-Dubs, let's move on to wide receivers. Trying to multitask here. Alexander Madison's a name to watch, too. Every time Cook has been on, he's been phenomenal. Yeah, when we've so far done our early wide receiver, or excuse me, our early mock drafts, I've been like kind of targeting Alexander Madison, which as the offseason progresses, he won't be able to do. But he's a player to talk about now because if he gets traded to the right team, he could be a really large value pick next week for sure, or next year for sure. Yeah, that's right, George. Justin Jackson's been working in over Craig Reynolds, like we talked about. Yeah, wide receivers are not as pretty. Running back is like the big position going into the offseason. But receivers, you got Nelson Aguilar, Sterling Shepard. Shepard just can't stay healthy. DJ Chark, Randall Cobb, Marvin Jones, Julio Jones, Brian Pringles, Alan Lazard, Jacoby Myers. I could see Alan Lazard getting re-signed. But who knows? They got two rookies. Maybe not. Juju Smith-Schuster's a big name. A.J. Green, Jarvis Landry. Our boy Talks, his favorite player, other than Marlon Mack and Zacchaeus. Mac Hollins, an interesting name. Jameson Crowder, Sammy Watkins, Zach Pascal. Marquise Goodwin has made some plays this year. Brashad Perryman. McCole Hardman was looking really good before he got hurt. Paris Campbell at times looked good. I mean, a lot of these guys are not going to get re-signed. James Washington, did he even play this year? He's on the Cowboys. Chris Moore had some moments. DeAndre Carter for the Chargers. Richie James for the Giants played really well. Demarcus Robinson. Got a couple Bears receivers, man. Bears are going to need a receiver next year. Nick Westbrook has played well at times. Jawan Johnson is not a wide receiver. Jawan Johnson is a tight end. Thank you very much. T.Y. Hilton, the GOAT. Greg Dortch. Marquez Callaway. Darius Slayton. Wow, the Giants got a lot of re-signing to do. Holy cow. Wow. You got Danny Dimes, Barkley, Darius Slayton, and Richie James. Wow. Who do you think the Bears should go for wide receiver one? Trade one or draft one or trade for one? Probably both, right? I mean, you still got Mooney once he's healthy, but you need like a big-bodied receiver. I just don't know who's going to be available to trade for you. It's so many wide receivers. Sign big long-term contracts. So I guess we'd have to be looking at players who are going into contract the following year, you know? So it's tough. But the past couple of years, drafting a wide receiver has worked out pretty well, so that might be the right route. All right, let's look at tight ends real quick. Yeah, wide receiver is not nearly as interesting. But I do think a lot of these players could be really good fits on the right team, you know. So a lot of these guys could make impact somewhere. All right, tight ends. You got Gesicki, you got Dalton Schultz, Evan Ingram. I would say Schultz and Ingram are the two biggest names after this season. For sure. Wow, I didn't realize Ingram. I thought he had one more year. I really thought he had one more year. Interesting. Austin Hooper, Robbie Tanyan, Hayden Hurst. Got some other decent names. Irv Smith didn't really work out with the Vikings at all. O.J. Howard. Donald Parham has made some plays for the Chargers. Foster Moreau. Got some other interesting names in here. Yeah, man. But yeah, not really that. I mean, Gesicki, Schultz, Ingram, probably your three big names. I think Robert Tonyan and Hayden Hurst are, and even Austin Hooper on the right teams, guys that could make pretty immediate impacts. So interesting discussion though. I see so many people not liking Diggs in the top 10 picks next year. Why doesn't anyone think he is? He's number one points for a while this season. It's a good question. Because going into this season, the same thing happened. I think it might have to do with his age, but like that hasn't really mattered when you look at guys like Devonta Adams, Tyreek Hill, even Keenan Allen, I guess. But yeah, I mean, Stephon Diggs still top 5 receiver on the season. Wide receiver 7 last year, wide receiver 3 the year before. So yeah, if the Bills keep up this pace, he should absolutely be linked to. It's tough when we're looking at top 10 receivers versus top 10 picks. Top 10 picks are going to involve a lot of running backs, so that could be why. Yeah, I do think Mooney would play his best football with a guaranteed wide receiver 1 next to him. You know what I mean? Because who was with the Bears when Mooney was a rookie? I can't remember. One of you Bears fans will know better than I can. Oh, Allen Robinson. Thank you. Yeah. I swear I thought of it before I saw the chat, Cinnabon. But when Allen Robinson was a wide receiver 1 and could still play football, and Mooney was a wide receiver 2, that's when Mooney was truly his best, Ingram gambled and won because he only signed a 1-year deal. That's right. For some reason, I thought it was 2. Offensive linemen: Orlando Brown, Rodney Hudson, George Fant, Connor McGovern. Wow, Jets got a lot of re-signing to do. Jason Kelsey, Justin Pugh, Roger Saffold, Matt Pryor. And you got some big names in here. I'm trying to see who's Kelvin Beachum, Jason Peters, Jawan Taylor, Cameron Fleming, Will Hernandez, yep. Trying to see if there's anyone at the bottom. Wow, it is really interesting how many more offensive linemen in general there are out there. Because there's so much more depth at the position just because of injuries. I'm curious to where Fields will go in drafts next year, seeing how casually he put up massive fantasy points and bad performances. Yeah, and with the bad team around him too. He'll go in the top 5 quarterbacks for sure. For sure. Receivers are always tough. Do you go with the guy like Chase that are in a loaded offense but also lose production other guys, or do you go with a guy like Adams who'd be a wide receiver 1 with no competition? Yeah, because some wide receivers play better when they have other players like T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd to take off the pressure, and then some guys don't need that, like Devontae Adams. Well, it's tough. So many fantasy quarterbacks are drafted in a 10 to 12 team league. I don't like reaching for a quarterback next season. Yeah, I think it depends. Like, I do think it's one thing to look at the value. Um, like this past season, I was like, really go for like a Jalen Hurts or a Joe Burrow if they fall to you at the right position, and if they don't, I don't think you. I think in most cases, it's too detrimental to reach for a Josh Allen, you know, or Justin Herbert, who was the guy, or Patrick Mahomes. You know, like those were like your top three guys coming in the season. Then it was like Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray for the most part. So you want to look outside that top five, and like you're not gonna be able to do it next year. But Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow were like the top two guys that really, really talked about in the offseason. And then if you don't get them, then it's like, yeah, like just unfortunately, the two guys that we were looking at in the drafts were Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins, who didn't have that bad a year, all things considered, fantasy wise. But and then like stream, like there's just always year after year, there's going to be quarterbacks off of the waiver wire. You know, Trevor Lawrence, Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, Geno Smith. Who in the hell would have predicted any of that this year, you know? Maybe Lawrence or Fields, but you know what I'm saying. Yet, Trevor Lawrence going to be a hot commodity going into next season for sure. He's like kind of like the Joe Burrow. I mean, you know, Joe Burrow took his team to the Super Bowl last year. But at the end of the day, he's like the... in comparison to next year going into this year, the guy to take a look at. You know, he's your QB7 right now. So. But yeah, he's quarterback 7 right now. He's going to essentially he's gonna jump up next year. We've already seen that in the early mock drafts for sure. GR, I disagree. Fields should not be top 5. Hurts, Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Lawrence. I'm fine with that too. And that's kind of like going into this season. I had like a top 7, and I just consistently talked about like Jalen Hurts at number 6, Burrow at number 7. But I was like, every time I brought up that ranking, like I definitely think those two guys outside the top 5 are going to crack into the top 5. And I just think that, you know, Lawrence and Fields will probably be right outside that top 5. And they'll be probably in the top 5 by the end of the season. So it just depends. It's tough. RB is the hardest position to hammer down. Tight end position is a crapshoot outside of Kelsey. Running back is going to be really, really, really tough going into next year until the offseason kind of wraps up. So it's going to be tough. Where does Taylor go in your opinion? Depends on the league you're drafting with, but probably, like George is saying, early round 2. Could be a good value pick next year, though. Like Saquon was this year, like George is saying. All right, guys, we're going to go and wrap up the stream. About an hour and a half tonight. I got to do a couple things. I got to hit the hay. I got to work in the morning. So, but yeah, just wanted to hop on, talk to you guys, touch base with everyone, give you guys an outlet, you know, in terms of where you guys were at with your respective fantasy leagues. And, you know, the plan all week was to stream tonight, so I didn't want to not stream. And, of course, give a shout out to DeMar Hamlin's, you know, GoFundMe and everything. Make a donation from the Catch fam, and just continue to throw some prayers out and some good vibes and everything. And yeah, just wanted to talk to you guys for a bit at the end of the day. So just kind of keep in contact with your guys' respective league commissioners, and we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. So at the end of the day, man, I did want to give you guys an update for the Catch Fam League, since I play, you know, with like over 50 of you guys between the 5 leagues, so including the auction league. So I know that, you know, we had already talked on Discord a little bit that there wasn't really any of you guys like pressing for anything, but I just wanted to make sure, you know, you guys got some sort of update, I guess, outside of Discord. And if there was questions, like I just didn't want to answer like a ton of questions on Discord and be going in different directions. So I just was like, you know, I'll hop on tonight. If you guys have questions, we can talk then. So, yeah. But I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Thank you guys for talking. I'll be on tomorrow night. I'm going to try and kind of figure out what I want to do for the rest of the week. We'll probably run a couple mock drafts this week. You guys have enjoyed doing that. It's a good way to bring the community together. So there's a small percentage of people playing fantasy football in week 18. So I don't know if doing a week 18 fantasy Q&A live stream is worth it. You know, I'll hop on Sunday morning, and that'll be a little bit more specific for those people doing that. So I think we'll probably run a couple mock drafts this week. I think that's a good way to kind of, you know, continue the week. So George, J-Dubs, GR, Cinnabon, Simon for President. I appreciate you guys, man. Good night to you guys. Alex, I guess I got an email from my league on Yahoo. I need to wait for the game's final decision to see about if I win or lose. Yeah, it's tough calls right now. It's going to come down to your respective league commissioner and what platform you play for. But just keep in mind the commissioner is going to be able to change and override anything if he feels fit, you know, or feels that's appropriate, I guess I should say. So we'll see what happens, bro. See what happens, man. Alex, thanks for stopping by, man. Good to hear from you, my guy. So, all right, guys, smash that like on the way out. Check out the links down below. And that'll do it, man. So, love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the Catch fam. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. And let me know if you guys need anything. And that'll do it. So, with that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the Catch.